Welcome back to another episode of Faith in Home Buying. I'm always liking these next couple of weeks, having some great guests coming on. And as you know, I love equipping people of faith for the home buying process. But not only that, home buying, but as being a homeowner too. And so today I got a good friend and actually someone that does and serves his community very, very well, Mr. German Pech with Bay Area Medics. Can you say hello to everybody?
Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? I'm grateful and thankful to be here, guys. Tamika, thank you so much for giving me the pleasure to be part of this. I really appreciate that. And yeah, my name is German Pech. I've been living in Menlo Park for 25 years. About 25 years. I've been an EMT for 10 years. I've been part of the American Red Cross. So we did a lot of volunteer work. I was part of a first aid station team, which is called the FAST team. It was closed about a year or 2 years ago, but that's where I got most of my experience. I was also an instructor there. Nice. So I love to help the community. I love volunteer work. And this is why I'm here. And I'm also an instructor. I teach CPR classes. I do sport events. Anything that you need first aid, I'm your man. So definitely, yes. Thank you so much for being in this program. Awesome.
Well, you know what? Well, this is one of the reasons why I think it's just important, not only local businesses, because everyone knows that I do that in bringing people on, but I think, you hit on some topics that I think a lot of people are thinking about with home ownership and what we've been going through, in the world, as far as disaster, as far as home preparedness, as far as CPR, first aid. So usually before I get into actually talking about things, one of the things I like to do is kind of like if I've had a devotional or just a little bit of activation. So I kind of look at it like activation, education, and then empowerment, right? So the first thing, and I needed to get it out because it was in my spirit this morning in talking about love. Like, everything that we're going through, and it was really great as far as the devotional was concerned, but it was talking more of like, as you live in love and, God is able to show himself through, what you do, from your hands to your work, to your community service, whatever it may be, the more that, your words change, you change, especially if you look at it through the lens of love and not through hate. And you have to, as reading God's word or knowing a little bit more about just who Christ is, like you have no other choice but to change. You have no other choice but to see people differently. And I think it's so important during this time, no matter what your political stance is, no matter what your stance is, period. I think if we go off of looking at people as God would see them, because they're all God's children, no matter what, you honestly, and God's still not far from everyone in order to still have them come to him, how much more are you showing that love through your actions? And the one verse, and you can talk about it if you want to for a little second, but the one verse that I want to make sure I leave and just kind of opening up everyone, with is 1 John 4:20. And I like the TPT version, the Passion Translation version, but I think it hits right to the core. And it says, anyone can say, I love God, yet have hatred towards another believer. It makes him a phony, because if you don't love a brother or sister whom you can see, how can you truly love God whom you can't see? Ouch.
Yes.
You know what
I mean? Yeah.
I mean, we're not getting into that, but I just want to leave that with people. Like, I just had to get that out. Like, hopefully that drops in someone's spirit. And German, you can kind of comment on it before we get into stuff. But that's just what I was feeling this morning.
Definitely, no, definitely, I agree with you. For me, that's what it's about. It's actually being the light, being the love, being gentle. Yeah. And that's in your neighborhood. That's what's new people coming into the neighborhood. That's something that we have to have. We have to be that light. Of course, there are those people that sometimes aren't like that. And for us, if we're that way, we can be that example. And definitely, I totally agree with you 100%. Of course, it's the word of God. So, it's something that hits you, it shocks you, but it makes you realize and it helps you to change. you know?
100%. Absolutely. So, I mean, we're going to shift, but I like to open up, with that. It just was on my heart. I'm like, okay, I got to get that out. But,
Yes, no,
in the
definitely.
context of love, I think
Yes.
also too, you can still go hand in hand on, your loved ones. It also means too on, just loving your family and loving on the people around you is actually educating yourself too on what to do should you come into a situation that requires help. And during the time of COVID, we'll start it off like this, like, with COVID, happening, I have a lot of my clients getting into homes now, a lot of them, and so it's not nor their rental property, it is actually their home now. And there's a lot of preparedness that you do need to have in case of an event of emergency, but even more so, there's special precautions for sure, even for COVID, during this time, shelter in place, not, all things are kind of accessible. So that
Yeah.
being said, I'd like to open up the conversation on, being a homeowner and during the time of COVID, what are some particulars and things that people should look out for or make sure they have readily available in their house, or they should just be aware of, should they come into a contact of having to do like maybe CPR or like any type of first aid to a person?
Definitely. During COVID, our work ethic has changed in a way as well. We've been on Zooms and stuff like that, and we've been teaching CPR classes in Zoom too. But I realized that there's a lot of stuff that you have at home that you can use for an emergency. Let me give you an example, like for a heart attack, right? If someone's
Mhm.
having a heart attack, they're sweating profusely, they're pale, they're
Mhm.
dizzy, and they're telling you that chest pains. Well, we have aspirin at home that we can use, right? Depending
Mhm.
on what type of aspirin, but usually it's a baby aspirin or adult aspirin that you can have them chew on it while 911 is on its way, right?
Well, that's good to know.
So those vital things. Yeah. So yeah, stuff like that. That it's very good to know. And so we have items at our homes that can possibly save lives. So it's important to be educated on that. So one thing I like to say is, we besides this year, every year we train about 5 million people around the world,
Mhm.
or in the United States. Sorry, in the United States, 5 million people, and only 3 to 4 to 7% respond. And
Yeah.
it's just because they don't know what to do, and they're so afraid, and they're afraid of the F word, right? Fail, right? They're afraid of
Mhm.
failing.
Yeah.
And so this is where we come in and give them those basic knowledge of how to save a life, how to help somebody, during an emergency at home.
Mhm.
So those trainings are so important because it can save a life.
Right.
Definitely.
Well, so aspirin is one thing. Give me one other thing, or maybe two others. So aspirin is one. So at home, just in case there's a delay in police getting to you, or ambulance getting to you. What's another one?
There's a lot actually. We can use another one, for example, of a kid who has seizures.
Yeah.
For the first time, or is having seizures. In order for us to respond to something like that, we just basically have to move the furniture away. If there's a place at home where there's a lot of furnitures, you have to move things around so this kid or this adult who's having the seizure won't
Mhm.
further injure themselves. So knowing how to react on a seizure. Oh, it's happening in the bedroom. Okay, we got to move the chairs, because people, I mean, these seizures are so violent that they can even
Mhm.
break their arms,
Yeah.
fingers, because it's very violent. So that's another way of being trained, knowing what to do in an emergency at home, especially when you're having someone who's seizuring every day, maybe 4 or 5 times a day.
So having a seizure. Now, what about, because we're talking about homes, right? So, I mean, shoot, what about ladders? Because a lot of my clients, I mean, some of them are in condos, but a lot of them are in houses too. What about if someone falls and, again, in between that process before the ambulance does get there, or calling 911, or if you're by yourself? Uh,
Yeah, no, definitely. No, definitely. We train on that as well. These called mechanism, the MOI, or mechanism injury. When you arrive to a scene, or you're at home and you see a ladder on the ground, and then you see someone else on the ground, you can imagine, okay, this person has fallen down pretty big. So the main thing for me is just to hold inline stabilization and call
mhm.
911 until they arrive. So just
Wow.
just by doing an inline stabilization, you're doing so much, because you're helping with that spinal cord, so
Mhm.
they might not be paralyzed. So there's a lot of stuff to actually know if someone's on the ground. You can hold inline stabilization until 911 comes and relieves you from it. So it's
Right.
pretty cool to be educated in that way as well.
Exactly.
Definitely,
And
yes.
real quickly, while we wrap up this first section, how do people get a hold of you, and especially if there's organizations, nonprofits, because they listen, how would they get a hold of you so that you can come and teach, even virtually, on first aid CPR?
So on Facebook, I have Facebook. I usually put my pictures there. It's Cheo, Cheo Pech. So you can find me there, Cheo Pech. I post a lot of stuff there. Also, my email, you got BA Medics or what is it? Pechcheo@yahoo.com. So it's my last name, PECHCHEO@yahoo.com. I go to churches, I go to businesses, I go to people's homes to teach CPR. So it's an awesome work.
What about any phone number?
And my phone number, area code 650-862-6327.
All right, excellent. So we're going to talk even more about a lot of things that, again, around the house that can happen. And, maybe like, C2 detectors, smoke detectors, what to do with a whole bunch of smoke and, your kids had, gas, you're smelling gas, what do you do? In the event that, things over here in California, we have earthquakes, and I figured this is a little bit of just a topic that I think that everyone should actually be aware of and have access to, whether they're at home now or maybe going back to the office. But the biggest thing is for home ownership, there are a lot of things that happen inside the house, and we're talking about different ways to make sure that you're prepared. Granted, as much as we can do in 30 minutes, but the great thing is Herman, he goes and he is an instructor, so he can go to places and talk to you about certain things, even go to your house and do specific one-on-ones looking through the home and such. So we'll give his contact information one more time today. But Herman,
yes, awesome.
Let's talk a little bit more. Let's talk a little bit more about so in the house, right? Say for instance, a big thing is our C2, C2, detectors. Say for instance, you come and you find one that's blaring and going off. What do you do?
Well, first of all, what I love about these they're just actually new ones where it has O2 and fire, the smoke that it detects. For us, the main thing for us is actually in my house here, we know where we have our fire extinguishers, we know where we have our extra waters and stuff like that. So for us, we sometimes get false alarms because we can get a little busy cooking here, and it wakes everybody up when this alarm goes off. It's a loud noise, and it lets you know if it's oxygen or fire, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And for us, we already have that training where once we hear that, we get the fire extinguisher, we get ready. I think the main thing is to be pre-trained about this, knowing where your fire alarms are at, especially where you put them. For us, we have them everywhere in the house and almost every hallway. But definitely having the fire extinguisher and having that plan, calling 911 or the fire department directly, is one thing to also be trained.
We'll talk about that. So fire extinguishers, because I have one, and truth be told, we bought the home in 2014, and I don't even think I know how to use it, to be honest with you.
Well, you know what? I was actually working with mine. This one actually just ran out of the battery, and the fire alarms, these are pretty cool because they actually beep. This light right here starts beeping once you need to change it.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives you the direction. If you hear 2 beeps, okay, you got to change it, right? But these fire alarms here are one of the best. We go to anywhere, Home Depot, wherever you want to go to buy these fire alarms. And like I said, they're located in the areas where we feel like, like the water heater, we have them there. That's one main thing that you really want to have. It's why the water heater that can give a lot of different fumes. The O2, is it right?
Yes.
The carbon, sorry, the carbon. So yeah, like I said, we have them everywhere. This one here, what I love about it, and most all of them do, they let you know when the battery is running out.
Right.
For me, I like to check them every 6.
We shouldn't keep it beeping.
That's what so don't keep it beeping. No, don't keep it beeping. Once you hear that, change it quick, as soon as you can.
Right. Okay, so those are smoke alarms. What about fire extinguishers?
Awesome. No, I have this one right here. This is a trainer, and this is what I usually take at some of my trainings. The fire extinguishers are the main thing that is going to help you out, right? you always want to make sure that it's working. These, I believe every year or every 2 years, they check it out.
Mhm.
They, you spray it, you test out the handles, you try it out real quick. It's good to actually test it out in the backyard real quick. Just, by physically feeling it, how it feels, it's going to actually help you to react when you're really taking care of a fire. So it's always good to actually even try it out a little bit just to test it out at your house. But yeah, it's definitely good to have
Yeah.
at least one or two of these. I have one in my car and I have one actually in my house too. So
See, I have one. I know where it's at. I know that I need to bring it to you to even make sure it works. Let's see that again as a
yeah,
homeowner.
it's good to check it out.
That again, that's just stuff that I'm not. Yeah, I don't even think. Okay, well then let's talk about this. We have about 6 minutes, right? So let's talk about your cooking. And say, for instance, you do have maybe a gas fire, or what's the difference between um, having gas, or maybe there's oil that's spilled, around, and now all of this, fire is happening. What's the best way to deal with, different types of fires?
Definitely, yeah, especially good. Very. I'm glad you're bringing this up because we're coming through what Thanksgiving and people are bringing
Yep.
these
Christmas too.
frozen chickens and they're dipping it into this oil and it just
Yeah.
all this fire coming out. We really got to be cautious about what we're cooking and exactly what we're doing and how we're applying the meat, or if the meat is full of ice and then you're mixing it with oil, and then before you know it, just
Yeah.
we have to be well prepared for what we're going to be doing, especially on Thanksgiving Day. I think the main thing is to be prepared and have a plan already and set, especially when you're cooking. For me, I don't cook as much and I'm not that good of a cook, but my brother-in-law, he's a chef and he actually prepares everything, has everything set up, and just in case, when we're Latinos and we cook with a lot of oil, so we always have things ready right by our right under the sink is where we have things. But when there is a kitchen fire, when things happen like that, you should be able to have a 911 protocol, basically
Hmm.
saying, okay, if we're cooking this, these are our protocols. This is what we're gonna do.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, for us, Latinos, we cook a little bit different. My mom, she cooks with a lot of fire sometimes, and she does these special soups. And we actually have to let our neighbors know what we're gonna be cooking that day,
Hmm.
just so we can be courteous about that. There's a special
Wow.
soup that we have, and yeah, and we actually burn the chile,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so we've actually had the ambulance and we have 911 come up to our house. And we didn't get in trouble, but they let us know, hey, when you're gonna do this, let your neighbors know. When you're gonna cook something like that dangerous, be prepared and have water next to it and stuff like that. So I think a good thing is to, when you're gonna do something like this, is to be well prepared and know that if something goes wrong, I'm able
Hmm.
to do it this way and react this way.
Exactly. No,
Because an
that's
emergency,
great.
it's an emergency. You never know what's going to happen. So you got to be prepared. Definitely. So it's kind of
Exactly.
hard sometimes to give you an exact answer, but it's good
Yeah.
to be prepared when you're cooking something that is going to be, very dangerous. Like what they do today for Thanksgiving. They dip it on this oil, and you've seen commercials of it,
Yep.
how to be prepared with that stuff. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, and I guess the first thing, obviously calling 911, but to put it out, again, that's why having and knowing how to use it too. And this is one of the things that you come in handy and telling people and showing people how to use the fire extinguisher, right? Because there's a certain way that you have to be able to pull it out, use it. You can't just press the button or the lever. It doesn't work like that. You got to
Yeah.
pull it in. You got to be a certain distance back, and there's a certain way that you do it. So
Yeah.
even with that, just knowing how to operate the things that are at your disposal, I think is really, really good for people to know. And especially if you have little kids, because they get involved with a whole lot of stuff, and some of them love fire.
So it's always good to be well prepared, have that knowledge to know
Mhm.
how to react to this type of emergency. And that's what we're here for. We're instructors. We love to teach. That's our passion.
Yep.
And so when we bring this into the table, the classes can be very fun. I love to have fun in my classes.
Yep.
That's how we learn as well too. So definitely.
Well, look, and I'm so glad. And again, how can people contact you? Because we're going to have all the information on there too. But what's the quickest way to get in contact with you? Because you also have a website too, correct?
Yes, we're actually working on that. The COVID and everything got me pretty bad. But yes, we have BA Medics, Bay Area Medics. .com.
Mhm.
Also, my email right now, I'm working on it, but it's Pechcheo. So it's PECHCHEO at yahoo.com. Or
Mhm.
at Facebook. You can find me at, now, name they call me at home, they call me Cheo.
Uh-huh.
My Facebook is EOPECH. And I have pictures there of me doing TPR classes and stuff like that as well. So yeah, it's awesome.
Exactly. And is there a phone number to contact?
Yes, my phone number. Yes, definitely. Guys, call me anytime. My phone number is 650-862-6327.
Excellent. Give it one more time.
All right, 650-862-6327.
Excellent. And so while we're wrapping up now, I really do appreciate you coming on. And again, in 30 minutes, you can only do so much, but he has a wealth of knowledge and information that is definitely something, especially because we're now on our homes a whole lot more. And, I just love the fact that you are doing this for your community, which is huge. And that you love what you do. And I think the more we can have more people, in the community, doing things in the community and loving what they do, the safer that we can all be. So thank you again.
That's right.
So
You're welcome.
everybody, and also listeners, thank you again for always supporting. I get a lot of messages and phone calls. Remember, you can contact me 408-561-7922 or Tamika@Ellsworth.com. You can also get me on TikTok, real estate _T, and also on Instagram, Tamika Ellsworth. I'm pretty accessible. But thank you again for tuning in. And I have some good things going on for the rest of this month. But again, Herman, thank you very much. Bay Area Medics, check them out. This is Tamika Ellsworth with Faith in Home Buying, and we are equipping people of faith for the home buying process. Thank you.